Hi boys and girls. Okay, so last week we created some neutral colored paper with our watercolors, and hopefully you got some experience with learning how mixing the complementary colors creates the neutral colors. Okay. Another thing that you could do if you did not have a chance to do that, or maybe you did have a chance to do that, but you want to create some more paper or some with more texture, you could use one of the rubbing plates and some neutral colored rubbing crayons, which would be what two colors? And I hope you said brown and black, because black is going to give you a gray. Now if you push really, really hard with the black, let me see what this is, black. Okay, good. If you push really hard, you're going to get black. If you want it to be gray, you got to push a little bit lighter, right? And you can do this like all over your paper with really any of the rubbing plates, and you're going to get a different kind of texture. Maybe you can overlap to get a mixture of the two colors if you like that. Because remember, this is going to be the fur or feathers for your giant animal. So whatever you want it to be, if you want it to be more brown or more black, more gray, whichever neutral color you want it to be. If you want it to have a little more white in it, maybe just don't color it in as dark. Leave some of that white in the background. Newspaper will kind of give you that effect. Magazines, they're kind of black and white too, so if you're going for that sort of black and white feeling, that would be the way to do it. Another thing you could do is you can just use crayons or markers and just color a whole piece of paper. Just take them and put texture, lines, cover that whole thing up with some type of a color that you think would be neutral. Okay, now if you do the markers, remember, this is going to be black, and you don't want the whole paper, you don't want to waste this and do a whole paper of black. If you want yours to actually have just black, then we need to just get some black construction paper. Don't waste all the markers. But if you want it to be black and white, oh whoa, this one's dried out. That's not going to work for us. It's green. Quick, cover it with brown. There we go. Anyway, we're going to tear this up, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be neat and tidy. Probably should be using a messy mat here, because if I get too close to the edges, it's going to get all over my paper, right? You could also use, if you're doing this at home or something and you don't have crayons or colored, you could use colored pencils. Anything like this would work. Just cover the whole thing with some type of neutral tone. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and set these aside. Our project today is to create the fur on our animal. So you're going to be given a neutral colored piece of paper. Depending on what class you're in, I'm going to do these by class so I can keep track. But you'll be given a piece of neutral paper, and your job is to tear your paper into strips. I suppose you could cut this too if you wanted to, but tearing it really gives it more of a interesting edge. So to start, I guess, by making some torn pieces, maybe 10 or 20 of them to start with. You can always tear more. You're going to tear more. So I like how this has some light, some dark, some white. I think it's going to give it more of a real animal fur feel. These can be as long or as short as you want. Depends on what you want your animal to look like. Okay. And once you have a fairly good selection, then you're going to get your glue bottle out, and we're going to start placing this fur on the outside. So you're going to work your way towards the center. Okay. All of it working towards the center. So I'm going to set this aside. So, whoa, my glue's already starting to come out. Yikes. You're going to just start around the outside edge. Wait for it to run down here. I'm just going to put some here because I don't know if I have enough to go all the way around my fur. It takes quite a bit of fur. This is going to take some time. Now, I don't want my doll to be the same length, so I'm going to make some that sticks out further, some that are shorter, kind of because animals have all different lengths of fur. I know in my dog, some places it's longer, some places it's shorter. Okay, and so you're going to go around the outside like this first, and then you're going to overlap, which means let's say I've done all the way around and I'm gonna overlap these, that means I would put some more glue on here. I'm gonna cover up the bottoms of these, and I'm gonna overlap by putting some pieces and strips right over top, but a little bit further in, right? So that they fill in some of these spaces that are open. And then I'm just going to keep doing that until I get all the way to the center. I want to cover up all of this brown paper. You shouldn't be able to see your background paper that you started with. Wow, this is going to be a dog with a curly fur, I think. That piece wants to curl. Okay, if you run out, remember, you can always create more with the rubbing plates or just crayons. You know, another thing I thought of is you could even, if we need to, we can even use some of our messy mats. We could maybe tear some of those up. You could use a page out of a magazine. Try to find one that doesn't have color. So like this page right here would be a great neutral page. You could also use newspaper. That's a really good neutral color. Lots of grayscale. So you could tear some of that out and make that into little strips. And mixing these all together is going to give it kind of a cool look. Now these are tearing out really short, and I want them to be a little bit longer. This to me is way too long. I kind of like this length right here. You get to decide though on yours because it's yours. So if I want to stick these into that glue that I put on there, I could do that. Now they should be getting a little bit shorter, right? So the ones in the back should be a little bit longer. So if this is happening to you, just bring it further in like this. That means I need more glue in here though, doesn't it? So maybe when you're overlapping, put your glue on your paper and on the tips of the other ones, just in case, right? Because we want it to really get stuck down there. And then overlap it. Yeah, that's better. And these short pieces, you can just use those for filler. I think I'm gonna just stick them in there. But I want to have some longer strips here too, so it looks like fur. Okay. You don't want to just start going small there. If your dog or cat has longer fur, you want it to all stay longer. So my strips need to be similar length. Okay. See how that looks better if it's longer there than just to stick a short piece in here. Maybe some short pieces would be okay, but I want to have some long pieces too. Now I'm going to stop and I'll be back when I have this covered. Okay, I'm back. I just wanted to show you. This is like me going around one time all the way around. I noticed that some of mine, because I wanted them to be like more pointy. If this happens to you and you don't like that it's blunt on the end, you could always take your scissors and make some of those more pointy if you want them to be. Because I kind of like this one. Here's another one, for example. Like I don't like how this one is. So you could just cut that at an angle like that and it'll be more pointed if that bothers you. If it doesn't, leave it, you know, just whatever you think looks good. I want some of those to be a little more pointy because I want it to look like fur. Now I have more to do. Hopefully you'll get this whole thing covered today, but if you don't, you'll have to finish it next week. We're going to move on to the faces next week, so try to get your paper in here. If you don't worry. You can always finish it next week and then add the face. Okay, I am back, and I did think of something. You do have to finish this today because we are going to be painting on this, and this needs to be dry. So first off, you know, pat everything down, make sure everything's really stuck to your glue. Then do a check. I'm going to pick this up and shake it. If I've done a good job of gluing, nothing will fall off, right? If something falls off, then you need to quickly glue that back on somewhere where there's maybe a piece missing. Okay, then this goes on the drying rack, and ooh, what is the very most important thing that you want to be sure you remember to do? Yeah, I hope you said your name and class code. So you're either in 4A, and be sure to circle it, or you're in 4B, or you're in 4C. Okay, and it goes on the drying rack, and we'll be ready for next week to add our faces.